Good afternoon, legends. Thanks for being patient with me regarding this video. We'll get out by sort of 4:30 or something like that. 3 hours before games, but that's plenty of time to check out some strategy and what I might be doing as well. And I'm going to go through my tips first. I did forget last week. Wasn't our best week. We did get New South Wales, which is good, and end up 4 out of 8. So only 3 out of 7 for the NRL games. Still stuck in first place, tied there with my cuz. And the old man's on the way back. He's only 2 behind me now. So he had a pretty decent week there. And hopefully, for my sake, I can have a pretty good week here. And tonight I will be going with the Bunnies. They're in a hot streak of form. And it's very, very hard to go against them. But obviously, to go with a team like the Eels, I've gotten wrong, their tip wrong a few times in recent history. And they're just not playing well enough. And the Bunnies are at the moment. So I'm going to stick with that one. Even though it's away from home, that's where I'll be pushing my chips in there. Sharkies are going to have them over the Titans in this one. I'm a bit worried about an old Nico Hynes there having a bounce back game, that's for sure. So I'll tip them. Panthers will go next against the Broncos. Broncos just aren't playing well enough. Panthers have everyone except for Cleary. The Dogs against the Wars. The Wars have been playing better, but the Dogs are in a rich vein of form. And a better spot on the ladder. Obviously, they're very clearly in 5th spot, and they'll want to be getting closer to that top 4, that's for sure, given they're 2 wins away, but only 2 points away. They're in that one. At home, I'm going to tip them in this one. Tigers and the Storm. We're going to have to pick the Tigers. We're not sure on the news yet on Pap and Farlongo, but whoever goes into fullback, I think they'll be able to do a solid job for him. And they should get over the Tigers, given it's first 17th, even at Leichhardt Oval there. Cowboys up against the Eagles. I'm going to go with the Seagulls. They've got all their Origin guys back, and Tommy returns in the centres, which will be fun too, with Kohler at the back. So I think that they can get the job done over the Cows, who have been in decent form, but it's going to be a very, very interesting game given it's 7th versus 9th as well. I do hope the Cowboys can win, but I'm expecting the Eagles to come over the top of this one against the Cows. The Roosters, I'm going to tip against the Dragons there with a margin of 8-2. I think they can put a decent job on them. I think it's either going to be sort of 8 to 10 plus, or the Dragons could probably sneak this one. It could be a bit of a close game. They played pretty well last week, but against a struggling team there, the Dolphins didn't play that great in that one. So Roosters will get that one in my opinion. I'm not going to tip against them anyway, the way they're playing. And then the Knights, I'm going to tip against the Raiders with Ponga back. It's going to be a fun one. They've got Will Price in there. Dylan Lucas comes back. Whether he starts off the bench will be fun as well. So a few guys returning. Best in great form. Greg Marzhew coming back into a bit of form too against the Raiders, who are struggling a bit. Even at home, I'm going to tip the Knights in this one. So that's my tips this week. Let me know if you're doing anything different. In terms of trades for me, I had 4 left coming to this week. I've currently used 2, and I did have a little bit of a play with 3. And if you listen to one of the videos, I think with Scoop, I mentioned there I'm 5k short of probably doing the ultimate 3-person trade, which would be to bring Little in, Sipley in, and Hynes this week, a week early. Obviously, at the moment, I haven't got Hynes in the squad, as you're seeing there. And right now, I'm going for Cook, and I am going for Greg Marzhew. So that's going to be a fun one. He obviously could, he has upside all the way into the 50s. Damien Cook has upside as well, and is currently the best hooker. Will play this week, 19, 20, 21. So that's going to be a really helpful set of games. Little doesn't play 20. So I just think having the ability not to have to make bulk trades after Origin is going to be the play there for me. Obviously, not having Grant and Marshall King gets in someone that I've only got one hooker now. So just sticking with Damien, and hopefully he plays all of the games for the rest of the way is going to be really helpful, obviously, there. And if they can get some wins and start that tonight, and if he can play well, they're really doing good stuff through the middle. And Cook and Kolomatangi are really benefiting from that. And, Murray's going to help with that as well. There's a little bit of chat that him and Keon might move between 11 and 13. So we'll see how that one plays out. But, I'm going to lock Cook in, and hopefully things go well for the Bunnies. They keep getting wins. And therefore, he needs to keep playing good minutes because he's playing such good footy at the moment. And, wouldn't need a hooker at this stage. So, mucked around with looking at Simkin. But, if Croker's going to return, I could make that 3 trades and go Simkin, Cook, or Simkin, Little, and Hynes. And the 3rd trade out would have been KO Weeks, given he's close to a trade out. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm going to stick with the 2, more for the fact if I use 3 and a few injuries come up this week, I wouldn't have a couple next week to use. Hopefully, Cotter does really well, and Hynes gets like a 50. because he'll lose a decent amount. Cotter will stick similar, sort of 7-10. If he gets a 60 or something like that, it'll be 7-10 if we can get Hynes right down. But if not, I can use Cotter and potentially a Weeks can go down to a 550 guy or something like that or less. And therefore I can get Hynes that way, or yeah, we'll see if there's any injuries or something like that over the next over this next round, obviously, before we make some decisions. So sorry guys. I think the big thing is probably captaincy now. Teddy, Hughes, Fafita. I think Fafita probably has the biggest upside, like obviously 100 upside. And I was looking at captaincies this week, and it's tough. There's Latrells, Payne Haas, Isaiah Yeo, Nico Hynes. There's a lot of really high upside guys. And if I'm like, Hughes has been awesome, obviously averaging something stupid over the last 5 games. What is it? 66. So that's awesome. And you could look at that and go, well, yeah, you just captain him. He's averaging more than what he's currently priced at, and 60, 76, 58, 74, 61. Like if he gets anything over 60 here, I think I'll be happy for sure. But then you look at Fafita, I suppose, and he has some upside as well. This year, he obviously has some big scores in there. Let's have a quick look there. He's got a 65 average his last 5, but he has a 91 in there against the Wars, 75, 74, 66. So it's fairly consistent in there with obviously a little bit of upside. So I'm not sure. Like Hughes is up against the Tigers, and I do really like that as a matchup this week. I think he can continue to do really well, kick meters, run meters, and all the rest. So I do like Hughes as a captaincy option still, but I'm worried a little bit about the upside. And if I'm buying Damien Cook, he's in the first game, I'm just going to lock that VC on him. And then we can do some looping from there. So the first player I have that is loopable, obviously Cook, we're just going to start him. He's my only hooker, and he's going to be my vice. Then we have Kale Iro, and we have Fafita in the next game. I have no Eels, so Iro is going to go into the 5 jersey. I can move and muck around things in that center spot. If we don't like his score, he gets injured or something like that, I can move Karaz up to center and bring Wishart or Weeks into wing fullback as well. So there's a one way to loop in his position there, which is helpful. I can then, I think I'm looping Piakura over Willison, but obviously I can muck around with the mid position as well if I wanted to. What have I got? No mids there. So yeah, Wishart, Weeks, Iro, Mazu, Iro, Wilson. If we want to take Willison's score, then I could put Plath into the mid position. I'll get Willison's score straight up. If we don't want his score, then I can put Aitken into edge. Would that be right? Yep, Aitken into edge. Oh no, I wouldn't be able to get Piakura that way. Yeah, so I'm really just looping Piakura because I have 18 players available this week. Yeah, with Aitken, Plath, and Fuller that are out in the bye. So I just need one player to not. But yeah, if I'm looping Piakura, Iro, Willison, they're probably likely to be some of my lower scorers this week. So, and they come up against Panthers too, and I feel like a middle forward, more chance that he goes well rather than worrying about Piakura with his missed tackles for sure. And they've still got a pretty low minutes middles on their bench, or they're going to help cover Kobe Hetherington on the edge, these kind of things as well. Apparently Paddy has been taking a few minutes on that edge at training as well. So outside of that, Karaz or Drinkwater, you might want it to loop, but they play a little bit later. Karaz in that game after the Dogs. So yeah, that's my general thoughts on looping at this stage. It's really just captaincy, and doesn't look like I can get Hynes this week. So I think I am going to make the trade to get Hynes in my Supercoach team. As much as I could just hold Sammy Walker this week, I think I'm going to just make the Supercoach trades of Hynes and Greg Marzhew in for Ethan Strange and Sammy Walker. And as I said, I could hold Walker this week. He went 172 against the Dragons last time they played earlier on the year. But Hynes, obviously, I think it's a bit of I'm worried about him in fantasy, and I think he can come out and do well against the Titans. But he's up against David Fafita, who's fighting for an Origin berth. So yeah, like there's every chance he could get trampled by him a little bit, have a few more missed tackles, which doesn't harm him in Supercoach as much, but does harm him in fantasy, especially if he's not getting attacking stats. But yeah, we'll see which Titans team rolls out, and if he can go nuts and get sort of a couple of try assists or a try and these types of things, which would be really helpful in Supercoach. Obviously great in fantasy too, but yeah, that's where I'm at here with Supercoach at the moment. As we have been talking about, had 18 trades. I'm down to 16 now, which is still great. And a few things to sort of muck around with. Obviously a little bit worried about like where Kaipi's Paul is going to be at. Got Smithy still in there. I've got Aiken, Asako, Tungo, Iro, Garrick, Holmes, Marzu in that section. Teddy and Drinkwater. I'll get one of the top guns for Drinkwater, I think, after after the big buy and stuff. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot to make some ranks this week. Hopefully Coruscant can do well, and we'll find out what's happening with Kaipi's Paul or Brayley come the last game, and I'll either play one of the two of them, I think, is where my fourth interchange is going to be, because Brayley's likely to play the 80 this week and probably get 50 tackles and hopefully an assist or something like that could be helpful. If I'm not going to have him in fantasy, I want him in Supercoach there. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Across the two sides there, obviously, yeah, fantasy-wise, keep 2 trades in the bank for next week. And if all goes well and I don't have any injuries and Fafita makes Origin, I can make 2 trades to get 13 on the park for next week. And hopefully that means across this week and next week, I can make some ranks. But I do definitely think that round 19, I'm going to make some more ranks than I would this week, because I don't have Latrell, Payne Haas, have Cook, which is helpful. No Hynes. If any of them have or 2 of the 3 of them have 70 plus performances, I won't really gain too many ranks. I'd really need Fafita or Hughes, whoever I captain, to get 70 plus, I think, to offset that. But it's a good thing I have Tedesco. Hopefully someone like Greg Marzu can come out and score really well. Garrick on his return, guys like Drinkwater and Karaz, hopefully they can come out and do good things. And those that sold Cotter, hopefully you can get a 65 as well. So yeah, that's where we're at. Leaves 107 in the bank for next week and the upgrades I might want to make. I had a little look at, as I said, if I did downgrade weeks next week, I could go to Madison to free up the 50k or so. And if he's, we see him tonight and he's in a good spot to score really well, he could be a guy that helps me for the edge next week if Fafita's out or mid. I can switch things around. And then I could use the other trade from Cotter to get to Hynes. And yeah, that gives me another mid, obviously, Madison for Cotter. And Weeks to Hynes, basically. Yeah, so another switch from a half a wing fullback, which I'm adding another wing fullback in with Greg. So Weeks can, come out of that. And yeah, I think that's where I'm at for my teams. Let's have a look at the head-to-head squads now. All right, so I've gone into launch mode, I think, with the head-to-head squad. 6 trades left, down to 3 now. I'm contemplating not doing it. Round 20 is a week where I've added a few players, i.e. Eels. I've got 3 in there now. I am trading out Dylan Brown, so that removes 1. But bringing in Ryan Madison for this squad does help me out in the mids there. I'm actually bringing in Madison, Sipley, and then Nico Hynes. So I just wanted to get a good captaincy option, try and get some wins on the board over the next few weeks, but before leading up to finals. So we're in a situation now where some leagues, I'm outside the 8, so I want to make sure I get some wins, either get into top 4 in some leagues and then top 8 definitely in the others. And I think these trades can help me out. So I have moved on from Tohu Harris with the minutes, unfortunate. Manu with the injury. And Dylan Brown just, basically upgrading Dylan Brown to Hynes, which I think is very, very fair. And I've got Galvin there. So in terms of players for next week, I've got the 2, which is cool. So Sipley comes in as another mid. So replacing, Madison will replace Harris, and then Sipley just an extra mid, which is very helpful as well. And if you're looking at my bench right now, I do have Plath and I have Sipley, plus the 3 I've got there, Cotter, King, and Madison. So that helps with 5 mids. In terms of edges, I have the 1 extra with Blore. So Nikora, Fafita, and Blore. If Fafita plays next week for Titans, great. I've got that covered as well. As I said, a lot of my head-to-head matchups play next week. So yeah, something to note there for sure. But I've got Reed Marnie, Cotter, King, Madison looks strong. Nikora and Fafita, great. Galvin and Hynes, Garrick and Iro, Teddy, Wishart, Drinkwater. This team actually looks a little bit better after these trades than my overall team, in my opinion, this week. I've only got the 2 out in Campbell and Plath, so we'll do some looping. At the moment, I've got Hands down in 6. He plays tonight, so he's going to be a clear looper. And then I'm going to pop Blaze Talangi down there as well. So let's sub him, which will be easy to do. Sub Blazy down with Blore. So we can make that decision on those 2, and they could be the 2 loopers for the week if it works out that way in this first game. So that's going to be the easiest way to do it. I'll trust Maddo a bit more than Talangi. And Hands, I think with Hands 50 minutes, Talangi will be more chance of scoring better, but I do think Hands backs up and improves this week with a 30-odd or 40 or something like that. I hope he doesn't for my overall team, but in this squad, there's that. But Blore, Weeks, Sipley, Cole, and then Talangi and Hands I can loop. So that's pretty cool. Heading into this week there, overall rank has improved. Not that that matters as much, but yeah, it's good to see things going in the right direction. I imagine with this team, I will improve again in this week. And then when we get some extra trades, so Hynes was a good upgrade as a gun. Madison could be a fringe guy, but we will start to add some of the top tier guns in certain positions there. An extra wing fullback, a Payne Haas or something like that over the next few weeks. I've got one of the gun hookers, maybe one more gun half, like I don't have Hughes, for example. So yeah, just probably like 3 more top tier guys, and I'll as a head-to-head player, I'll get one of these guys down to a cheaper player that could play for us, I suppose, and you have the odd buy in this team as well. So BYE when I'm saying that. So yeah, that's the head-to-head team. Pretty simple this week, an improved setup, improved squad. I'm very happy with where it's at. And now let's move to the Supercoach side. I have used 2 trades again, down to 13, so 3 less than my overall, but it is a situation as I'm still going through it. 8th and 12th in my 2, or 13th, 12th? Yeah, 8th and 12th in my 2 head-to-head leagues. So I need to get wins on the board. And the trades I have decided to use is actually get SJ out of the way. So I need to come up with 250k. And the way I've done that, unfortunately, I'm about 30k short of going to Tolu Kola, but I've gone Joey Manu to Will Price at 345, and just banking on that a little bit. Hopefully he keeps the spot in the side, plays next week. One of my 2 head-to-heads plays next week, so that can be helpful as well. And Johnson to Hynes is a pretty important upgrade this week. So I'm happy to do that, try and get some wins on the board and keep moving in the right direction. And the big thing with this squad right now is we want Kai Paul to be starting in the last game. And if he's not, that's a little bit frustrating for sure. But got Adam Fanua-Blake. I think he's going to have a bounce back game soon. We got Reed Marnie and Coruscant, pretty solid up top. Fifi and Katoa, which is all good. Hynes and Hughes, Galvin and Brown, Young, Holmes, Talangi, Iro. Sitting Will Price, I think, over Talangi at this stage. He's scoring pretty well. He's averaging 62. I don't think we can push away from it. As an early player too, something could happen in that last game. And then, Sako and Strange sitting there. Teddy as captain right now with Drinkwater. I'm going to vice captain Nico. See how that one plays out in the second game. Could be Fafita as well, but I lock in Nico. He's got a terrific average. And yes, Fafita's is better at 85.7, but we know that Hynes has the 150 plus games in him, whereas, Fifi, a good game for him, a big double or a big try effort and a try assist is like a 105, 120, 110 kind of range. So yeah, that's the head-to-head squad at the moment. We're coming up against 2 slightly harder matchups, a guy in 6th and a guy in 4th. So Sam and Isaac, good luck to you guys. I'll be following along your scores and your players, and I had a little quick look already. This is what you should be doing with your head-to-head matchups, guys, is having a look at who you're playing up against. I just went into last week's round 17, and you just look into all the matches and then go in and see their scores there. So that's the easiest. Raise bays, you click their score, see what type of team they got, and maybe what trades they potentially before they make trades, obviously, and then you'll see things from there. So that's the easiest way to do it. That's the trades. That's the tips for the week. I wish you all the best of luck heading into round 18, guys. It's here again. Happy days. 10 rounds to go, and good luck coming into it.